Men have been raised to be children, I think. They've been babied. Cooking, something that you need to do to keep your heart pumping and your body moving, is something that you won't do yourself. How much should women do for you then? Like, really, like, to even keep yourself nourished and alive, you want us to do that for you as well. Esther's one of those women who, unfortunately, well, she obviously doesn't know, but she's doesn't expect very much from men. Hi guys, so channel, my name is SincerelyOghosa. If you haven't come across my channel before, I upload beauty, lifestyle, straight talking videos. Today is a blend of beauty and straight talking. It's going to be a straight talking video, as you can see by the title, and it's also going to be a get ready with me. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm looking a little bit ratchet and ashy and all sorts, so I need to like do my skincare. I've literally just put this Vaseline on just for you guys' benefit, but I need to, like, you know, wash my face, but I do have some, like, a really cool new facial cleansing brush. Look at this packaging. What just got this in the post. There's this little pod thing with the glow spin inside. I've used this before, but this time it's got an exfoliation brush as well. I like to exfoliate about 2-3 times a week. So I decided to voice note this bit because I can't talk and wash my face at the same time, obviously. So I'm using the exfoliating brush, and there's actually 3 specialized brush heads in the glow spin kit. So there's the daily cleansing brush, there's the exfoliating brush, and then there's the silicone brush. The bristles are super soft. It's got 2 speed settings as well, so you can make it fast or a little bit slower. I personally like to use it to cleanse after I've worn makeup, but usually with the ones I've had in the past, I really love to use those after I've taken off my makeup, just to deeply cleanse, get the dirt out of there. I do have a coupon code as well, and that code is OghosaGlow, and the link to buy as well will be in the info box. Ashy right now. I just went to do my hair. I haven't really done my edges or styled it like as much as I would like, but I'll do that after I've done my makeup. For my skin, I usually use a toner, but I ran out. Literally just ran out yesterday and I couldn't get any more. I usually use rose water, and I also use Pure's Soak It Up moisturizer. This video isn't really going to be a commentary on Backchat London. It's going to be a commentary on the actual topic that they were talking about. Now, when you start talking about, when you are talking about sexism and gender politics, and I wouldn't say marriage, but I'd say responsibilities in the home between the genders. Oh yeah, sorry. Also using, please focus. Yeah, I'll link everything below, obviously. Charlotte LaCroix eye cream, just to help moisturize my eyes. Yeah, so when you're having a conversation about gender politics and all of that stuff that they were talking about in the show, not everybody can... This sounds shady. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it like it is. It's a straight talking video. Not everybody can have that discussion. Not everyone can have. Anyone can talk, right? And this isn't even about Backchat London. This is literally about this topic, because I've seen so many people online and on Twitter, on social media, podcasts, whatever, talk about this topic, but usually they're not adding anything constructive to the conversation about. I first saw the topic that they were talking about, and the fact that people are still talking about on the TL today. I was literally talking to my friend yesterday, and I was just like, is this actually happening? Like, is this real life? Like, are we still, we're still talking about, okay, we're still talking about this. Like, I thought that discussion of whether women should be cooking or men should be cooking in the home, I thought we dealt with that. Kind of like how at one point everyone thought that the world was flat, and eventually everyone realised, oh, it's a globe. Oh, it's round. Okay. And then everyone kind of moved on. Like, I thought it was that, but it's not. I think men, if they're not feminist, in general, I don't think men should really be, I don't think they should be, I don't know if they have anything constructive to add to that conversation. And that may sound very rude, but what I mean is, when you are talking about what the woman's responsibility is in the home, in terms of cooking and cleaning and, you know, housekeeping, I just don't think that men should have anything to say unless it's supportive, because it's not them who are being oppressed. Do you know what I mean? We live in a patriarchal society. It's not because, like, obviously I do enjoy talking about this stuff, but it's the same as racism. It's like, do you, like, the same way white people, not all obviously, but the same way some white people assume that black people enjoy talking about racism is, I think, the same way that many men feel like women enjoy talking about sexism. We really, really don't. Do you really think that all of these actresses who've come out to talk about Weinstein and all of these other male celebrities, do you think that they enjoy having to relive their oppression and the way that they were treated and used sexually and degraded? Of course we don't. We don't enjoy talking about this stuff, but we are seeking liberation, and that's why it keeps on coming up. But anyway, yes, I feel like men don't really have much to add to the conversation unless it's supporting women, unless it's to actually say that yes, your experience is valid, I'm here to listen, I'm here to support in any way that I can. Then I just don't know what else that they're doing here, making their demands. I do feel like men are very demanding in terms of what they expect from women, and I think that comes from the fact that men have been raised to be children. I think they've been babied in this, and what I mean by that, I'm just looking because I do have some notes. What I mean by that is that men are raised to be very, very masculine, obviously, as women are raised to be very, very feminine. But the thing about when men are raised is that boys are raised into men, rather, is that we stunt their growth. We stunt their growth by saying that they should accept some things to be done for them. Obviously, one thing is cooking, but even taking it bigger than that are other things like even just being emotional. For example, let's look at it simply, right? If we look at a lot of men and the way that men are brought up, even the phrases that we use in society, like suck it up, be a man, grow some balls, all of those phrases imply that men should be stronger, not just physically. We all know that men are stronger physically, but they should also be stronger mentally. They shouldn't show any fear. If anything, they should be afraid of showing fear. They should be afraid of showing emotion, of showing weakness. And do you know what the maddest thing is? This is what happens now when we end up being in our 20s or whatever, when we grow up and we end up dating these men and we realize that they're not giving us any sort of emotional support. Like, for instance, like, say you've just been, I don't know, treated badly by a colleague at work, for example, and you come home and you talk about it. There's a lot of men who are completely unable to give you empathy, by the way, like completely unable to, sorry, I just drank some water, completely unable to give you any empathy, to show any compassion, and I'm not saying that men are monsters, but they're raised to be very, very stoic, very hard, be a hard guy. Don't be soft, don't cry, don't be too emotional, like don't take it too seriously, stiff upper lip. All of those things and all of those unhealthy habits of dealing with emotion mean that when someone does show emotion, they don't even know how to handle it. In fact, a lot of men don't know how to handle their own feelings, which is why a lot of the time you'll realize that a lot of men actually have so many feelings, but they don't even know how to show them. They don't even know how to process them. And this is not me talking about, this is not just my opinion. This is something that, you know, I've read from psychologists, from therapists. That is a huge indicator of this problem of babying men, of stunting their growth, of stunting their humanity, is the fact that suicide rates are really, really high amongst men. Very, very high. In fact, I think, it's definitely higher than women. So, like, suicide is the biggest killer of men, like, above anything. And we have to question the reason for that. And I like that people do question the reason for that. And there are a lot of charities who are like spreading awareness about mental health and encouraging men to have that conversation, because as a society, they have been raised to keep all of those feelings in. They've been stunted by the way that we, especially mothers, they've done their sons a huge disservice by encouraging them to be served by the other women in their house. Like, if the brother has sisters, it's like, well, this is not all the time, but a lot of the time, or if it wasn't a lot of the time, this wouldn't be a topic, we wouldn't even be talking about it. But I feel like a lot of the time, sons in the house, they're not encouraged to cook, they're not encouraged to clean as much as the girl is. And at the end of the day, like, if you look at all the things that make you, inverted commas, girlfriend material, like all them pick me girls on Twitter, it's usually Twitter, pardon me. It's usually things to do with, oh, I'm a good cook, I'm a good cleaner, I'm a good nurturer. All of these qualities are praised in women, and the weird thing is they're not praised in men. And then men wonder why we are constantly having the conversation about sexism. And it's because if you're going to, like in the home, if you're going to raise your daughters to cook and clean, you should raise your sons to cook and clean. But what happens is it's the women in the home, the wives and the daughters, that end up looking after the sons. They end up babying him, cooking for him, cleaning for him, doing his laundry for him, and in the meantime he's not expected to do anything, and then he ends up growing up to be a very stunted man, like so many men are, and it becomes the status quo. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it just repeats itself from generation to generation, which is why so many black men, I can only say black men because I am a black woman, and a lot of the issues affecting like the black community come into play with this topic. But a lot of black men have been raised that way, and and unfortunately some of them will continue to raise their sons that way, and it just goes on and goes on and goes on until, of course, we can be honest with ourselves. Hold on, let me do some setting powder. We can be honest with ourselves and be honest about the conversation. And what I really don't like is when people kind of like, they make it sound like, they kind of do a gaslighting thing where they make it sound like women are doing team do too much. Do you know what I mean? So I've done my brows and all of that. Sorry, I had to do that off camera because otherwise I was worried the video would be too long. I mean, I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier. If so, I'll just edit out. But I feel like a lot of these ideas of what a woman should be in the home do come from history and culture, and a lot of it, in my opinion, might be wrong, is based on the fact that in general, to survive, you had to be stronger. You know, you had to be the one who could fight off animals, or you could hunt and gather, you could make a living for yourself. That was the main way to survive. Whereas today, as mentioned by Chimamanda Adichie in her video on why we should all be feminists, today it's not like that. The person who survives, or the person who is more successful, or the person who is more, I don't know, has a better quality of life, I suppose, is the person who is more creative, more smarter, more intellectual. And you know, we've got these notions of what a woman should be. Obviously there are exceptions to every rule of what I was saying before about being successful and being innovative, but usually that is the reason why. It's because the person is just intellectually more able to just be successful, I suppose. And so regardless of whether it's a man or a woman, either are able to have those traits, that intellect, that creativity. Obviously we still live in a very patriarchal society, and so it's a lot easier for men who are smarter to get ahead of women who are smarter. If you're new to my channel, hi and welcome. If you're not new to my channel, then you know obviously that I'm a Christian, and I am aware, if some Christians aren't, that Christianity in the religious sense had and has a huge impact on the way that we see gender roles. And you know, I remember being a kid and being taught that as a Christian woman you should always be in the kitchen cooking, and it wasn't until I became a Christian myself and started to read the Bible myself that I realized that there are many examples of men cooking in the Bible. Many. In fact, their cooking has major consequences on their lives and the lives of their next generation. And one example is that of Jacob and Esau. I feel like they were both very, very good cooks. Like if you look at Genesis, and if you look at the story of how basically Jacob steals Esau's birthright. Esau asks him to cook him, I think pottage, I think it is, which is basically the same as stew, I think. If not, I'll correct it and put it here. And then we also see another example of Esau's cooking as well, where Isaac asks him to cook him his favourite, I think, venison or goat stew. Not sure why there's so much stew going on, but venison or goat stew, so that once he eats it afterwards, he could bless him, because Isaac was about to die. And so it's like, okay, it's not as if we don't see men cooking in the Bible, so we can't even blame it on scripture. It's not even that. It's of what people take from scripture. I feel like the harder that we raise men to be, the stronger, the tougher, and not tougher in a mindset, but tougher in the sense of not showing any emotion, not being weak, blah blah blah. The tougher that we raise men to be, the weaker their egos are, and that's where you get such fragile masculinity, because it's like any little thing can just tip men off. Like, I know that there's men watching going, okay, well, good luck finding a man who's okay with you not cooking. I'm not saying that women shouldn't cook. I'm just saying that I hate this idea that it's an expectation. Like, my father cooks in our house a lot, but so does my mum. And, you know, my dad, like, I love him. He still has his misconceptions of what an African wife should be from his upbringing. I do feel that as women, we are taught to cater to men. You know, don't have too much ambition. You know, don't tell him how much you earn, because it'll make him feel less of a man. I just feel like a lot of the times that black women are always the one picking up the pieces, and you can just see that from, look at all the police brutality cases in the States. Like, every time there's been a social media movement or an uprising to raise awareness and to get justice, a lot of the time those movements have been started by black women, even when it's black men who've been attacked or abused by the police. And it just makes me feel like, okay, like, we should do all of that, and then we should also be cooking in the house. Like, damn, like, how much do you guys want us to do? I feel like when it comes to the home, whoever cooks best and whoever enjoys cooking the most should cook. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. And the fact that men feel like, not all men, but men feel like that is asking too much, and that if she doesn't cook, then someone else will cook for him, and I guess that could lead to something else sexual. It's like, it's very, very disappointing. And if anything, it doesn't show how strong men are. It just shows, if they do believe that, it just shows how weak they are. So what? Because someone isn't giving you food, you're gonna look for it somewhere else? Like, really? Like, in big 2018, we're really having to have this discussion on the fact that your stomach is grumbling. You're literally going to throw away your whole relationship, where there's, well, hopefully, emotional intimacy, like companionship, friendship. You're gonna throw that all away because your stomach is rumbling. Like, are you actually mad? It doesn't make sense. And also, it's just the fact that just men, a lot of men are very, very entitled, and they feel like they deserve these things because we've brought them up to feel like these things should be done for them. And so once you try to remove some of their privileges or some of their advantages, it's the same for every privileged group. They feel like they're being attacked. And that's probably why they're going on the defensive and being like, oh, well, I'll get someone else to cook for me. I'm not being funny, but eating is you need it to stay alive. So it just shocks me that cooking, something that you need to do to keep your heart pumping and your body moving, is something that you won't do yourself. How much should women do for you then? Like, really, like, to even keep yourself nourished and alive, you want us to do that for you as well. We born you, we raised you, and you want us to nourish you as well until what? You're dead. Come on, man. Like, it's just too much. Like, the demand is just too much. If women were to say, okay, yeah, I want a man who, when I get back from work, the food's already going to be ready, the house is going to be clean, the kids are going to be fed and in bed or going to bed, and they're going to be picked up by school by the man. Like, people would say that the woman is being too demanding. Let's be honest, let's be real. Let's actually be real. People would say, oh, you're expecting too much. It's a myth, by the way, that women are better cooks and cleaners and they're more nurturing. It's a complete myth, and it makes me so angry when I hear it, because what it does when we say that women are better mothers, what it does is it invalidates every single man who loves their children. It does. It invalidates it, because it says that your love is not as important. It says that really only the woman's love for the children is important. Because what about all the men that are killing themselves, working, trying to provide for their children, trying to move their children to better schools, to better areas, to better countries? We all know that there are real life psychological effects of not having a dad around. We know that. And therefore, logically, it must be assumed that children need their fathers. And obviously it's unfortunate when children don't have their fathers, but psychologically it has an effect on them. So it's like, clearly they're necessary. This belief that it's women who are naturally born to do it and the men aren't, it's one of the reasons why men find it very, very easy to abandon their children. Which is wrong, obviously, but it's because they've been socialized to believe that, no, the children are the mother's problem, so I can leave. It's not my responsibility, it's hers. You know, it's really down to sexism. I do feel like over the years women have been taught to see that cooking is their role. Obviously, like, one thing that's a favourite of mine, like if you know anything about me or my channel, like I'm a huge history buff. Like, I'm a huge history geek. I love history. And one thing that stands out to me is, actually, if any of you guys have watched Mona Lisa with Julia Roberts, you'll remember, it's so weird how that just came back to me, but you'll remember there's a clip in the film where she's showing her students adverts in the 60s, 50s I think, that like companies have put out, and a lot of them geared towards women are all like cooking adverts, like buy a new oven, buy a new grill, buy a new kitchen utensil, buy a new kitchen like accessory or whatever it is, and it's all so that she can be a better wife, a better housekeeper, better mother, blah blah blah. Things like the idea of being able to multitask and iron your husband's shirts whilst he talks to you about how his day was. All of that is to socialize women to see it as their role. And one thing, I know I keep on name dropping her, but I watched her before this so I could get a deeper understanding of the topic. One thing that Chimamanda said that I totally agree with was the fact that it's strange how we assume that women are better cooks, but at the end of the day, a lot of the most famous chefs are men. A lot of the Michelin star winning men, or awarded chefs, sorry, are men. Oh, this eyeliner, what happened? Are men. And it's like, okay, well, clearly it's not because women are better cooks then. And it's not because men can't cook, because they clearly are. I mean, I can literally on my hand just talk about just male chefs like Jamie Oliver, Gordon Ramsay, and it just goes on and on and on, you know. And it's like, clearly you guys are capable. You really, really are. It's just a question of wanting to, and it's a question of this idea of being emasculated if you are seen in the kitchen. You know, like, one thing I loved about what NUNU said was when she talked about her own dad and how he cooks and cleans, and obviously not everyone's dad is like that, but I loved that she's had the opportunity to see the other side, that it doesn't always have to be so linear and so just burdened on the woman. Like, she's had the opportunity to see her dad do all of that, and so her expectation naturally is a lot higher. You know, she's not willing to settle for less because she's seen that there's more, you know. And it's just so frustrating to see a lot of women. I'm sure like some women will comment on this video and, you know, make it seem like I'm being very, very, very unreasonable. And that's the same thing as what Esther was doing, like acting as if asking for more will leave you single. Asking or demanding more from men will leave you single. Is that to imply that that we should just settle? Esther's one of those women who, unfortunately, well, she obviously doesn't know, but she's doesn't expect very much from men, and and you know, some of the backtrack guys probably feel the same as her anyway, in terms of men not having to do much. But as I was saying before, I do feel like it just shows just the lack of self-control amongst men. The fact that if a woman's not doing something like that for you, you literally pick up your bags and go. Not even that you pick up a cookbook, you know. You pick up your bag and go and look for someone else, or allow somebody else to take her place. Like, you could just Google a recipe. Like, it's not that hard. Like, so off camera I did my lips, put my earrings in, and changed my top into this like little playsuit. One of the main issues with this whole thing, which kind of like grounds this whole thing, is I think a lot of people, some do, but a lot of people don't understand that marriage is not about ownership, it's about partnership. I think a lot of men don't understand that, and I think if men did understand that marriage was about partnership, they wouldn't demand that their wives do a lot more in the home than they do. That's not partnership, that's ownership, that's slavery. Whoever has certain skills in the home, they should use them, and whoever is comfortable using, whoever is comfortable cooking and cleaning, whoever enjoys it most should do it, and whoever enjoys doing other things should do those skills instead. And if no one enjoys it, then it should be 50-50. It's not something that should be solely based on one person, especially just based on whether they have a vagina or not. It's just not enough. It's just not enough now. The woman could be the breadwinner and could be out all day, and it could be the man who works maybe part-time. Like, roles change and culture changes, and I think one thing a lot of people will try and say, a lot of like Nigerians do, is that they make it seem as if intelligence is being westernized, or believing that men and women should be equal is a westernized view of things, when really that's just how things should be in general. Our culture is not really based on gender roles. Our culture is based on who we are as people and the values that we've passed down from generation to generation, and culture changes all the time. If it's not working for a set group of people, it should be changed. So that is me ready and done. If my face looks a different colour to my body, it's just because I've got like big lights mostly shining on my face, but in normal life it all matches up, don't worry about it. But yes, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I'm not willing to accept a man whose masculinity, I hate that word, is threatened by how gender roles are changing. For me, it tells a lot about the integrity of a man on how he reacts to a woman asserting her independence, her decision not to be used in the home, and her decision to be a lot freer than our mothers or grandmothers were in the home. If men are upset about us wanting to change that, then they're really not the men for us. And I personally have little to no interest in dating or marrying a man who's threatened by that. He's definitely not the man for me, and I'm definitely not the woman for him. I kind of like this look. It's very different to my usual, which is what I wanted to do. My hair, guys, it's wash day, so just allow me. It's wash day. Deep conditioning pending. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that it helped. I hope that it sparked debate in you. I hope that it sparked a conversation. If you have any comments, please do leave them below. And yes, make sure that you do subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, please do hit that subscribe button. It will be like, to subscribe will be here, and to watch the last video be here. So click those. And yes, please also click the notification bell. Some of you were saying that it didn't work last time, so comment below if it's not working and I'll try and find out what's going on. But yes, subscribe, and the bell to get notifications, because YouTube boxes suck. Thanks for watching.